Hello, my name is Aurora, and welcome to my daily video uploads. And what I'd like to talk about today is what is on your cancer bucket list. So, as some of you guys here may be new, but most of you guys actually have been here since my lung cancer journey. Currently, I am 33 years old, but about 4 years ago, my gosh, 4 years ago, I was actually diagnosed with lung cancer at age 28. And to be frankly honest and transparent, the lung cancer statistics aren't always the most favorable. The people that I've met that have survived for so long may have survived for 20, 28 years, but those people are definitely unicorns. And yeah, so while I hold out the most hope, I speak so much life over my body, there's also this, I wouldn't say urgency, but a realization that life is precious and daydreaming all the time is definitely allowed, right? To live our life to the fullest because you just never know. For example, it's given me boundaries to not accept toxic treatment from anybody, whether it's personal life or work life. That is not allowed because of the effect it might have on my body or, you know. Anyways, yeah, we're here to talk about cancer bucket lists. And for me, actually, I want to add one more, which is hold on 1 second. All right, so I got a whole list for you guys. Let me show you right here. So, number one is to go home to the Philippines for a longer period of time. In all honesty, I'm exhausted. And I know that this is oh my gosh, this is a generational thing because my grandmother left the Philippines, when was that? In the 1980s. While she's not the reason why I'm in the United States or ever had the privilege to go, I know that, we are interconnected because she was in my community. So my grandma came to the US in the 1980s. Eventually, my mom got to go in 2000, and then I got to go in 2002. It's a complicated story. I am still first generation because I did grow up in the Philippines and experience our own type of poverty there. But it's just weird to think, in my matriarchal lineage that there has been three generations of women who have been away from their home country. So, yeah, there's just that constant exhaustion of existing in a different state. And then you add in the fact that it's stolen land. It's just a huge realization for me. And yeah, I just love to go home for a longer period of time. And number two is to be in my home country with my whole family. I want to imagine abundance so hard that I won't just be at home with my family, but my husband will be able to be there. My sisters and their kids will be able to be there for a longer period of time too. Not just, blips of a vacation of 1 or 2 weeks, but, where all of our nervous systems can actually settle and exist. I would love that for all of us, for my whole village to be able to do that, and for my nieces and nephews to experience that kind of existence. And number three, to finish working on my memoir and publish it. That is currently in the works. Number four is to travel more. My list still goes on and on. So yeah, to travel more. The places that are on my mind that pique my curiosity is Fiji, Malaysia, and Vietnam. I know for sure that Malaysia and Vietnam are going to happen. And now that I've said Fiji out loud, I would not be surprised if that actually happens sooner than later. Maybe this year, right? And number 5, I know that I'm meant to be on this earth, and one of my ancestral assignments is to help people find clarity. I want to help people find clarity and to remind them that the answer is within themselves, and because once they realize that, they'll be able to drown out all of the noise. And what I mean by that is I work on clarity. Clarity is actually a verb. And I want people to realize that clarity can be found within pages, and so can controlling their life. Like, I think without journaling, I feel like life just feels out of control, and we wonder why things happen all the time, or our moods are up and down, and there's just, we're being attacked in all sorts of directions, whether it's bills, whether it's rent, whether it's that mortgage, whether it's that tuition bill, the grocery bills, y'all. Like, I don't know how people are mentally staying afloat in the US. Because even if you're making a lot of money, it's a lot to take in. The goalpost is moving constantly, and if I could help people out, it would be to help them find clarity and to find the answers within themselves. And number 6, to make sure my nieces and nephews know that there is a whole world outside of Turtle Island, which is the United States of America. And I want them to know this because so much of the education is, US based and US centric. And, coming from an immigrant family, we are taught that it's the best nation on earth. And while it is true that it is the richest country in the history of history, I want them to know that there is a reason that they have that passport, and the privilege that they have that passport. They should go and be globally minded, right? Instead of being closed off and never going anywhere. I want them to see the world, and not just places that have really good marketing. For example, Europe has really good marketing. They have really good, I forget the word, but I say it in my mind, like, they have good marketing. But Europe historically has also been a colonizer. And I've made the pattern of, yes, Europe is beautiful, but then where did they get their resources, right? And I'm really curious about those countries that are kind of the underdog, like historically the ones that people talk shit about and say that it's a third world country, or a certain person has said shithole countries. So, for example, if I could, I would show my nieces and nephews El Salvador, right? Because it has a history of being dangerous, but then it's made a comeback. And it's like a very fascinating thing to see that. And yeah, in the media, Korea is very popular, and so is Japan. But these are places that are currently powerful, right? But what about the underdogs? I mean, the Philippines is also one of them. But then who talks about Malaysia and Indonesia? Perhaps Vietnam, I feel like a lot of its descendants who have had to migrate may have left their countries behind, such as, like, for example, like the Philippines, or yes, Indonesia is known for Bali, but what about the other parts? I would encourage or challenge them to go a little bit further, to look into countries that have history and are overexploited, if that makes sense. Yeah, because travel is fascinating and it's fun with all the excursions, but it also holds so much more meaning when you go to places that aren't just like a spread on a travel magazine. You know what I mean? Travel magazines are changing nowadays, but I feel like if you were bougie, there's a tendency to go to Europe, you know? But hopefully they are still a part of that movement where stereotypes and the way we think about different nations coming from a first world country such as the United States could be different. And so next one that I have is, of course, my dogs, to have food and care, money left over for them to make sure that they are taken care of forever. Because my dog's got how many more years? My dog's got like 12 more years in them. And hopefully their mom, which is me, that I'll still be around at that time. Till the very end for them. But I just want to make sure that they are taken care of forever. And to have lived an impactful and meaningful life. Yeah, I want them to... Actually, sorry, I'm like thinking about my dogs. Okay, next is... Yeah, I should probably talk to my family about that. To have lived an impactful and meaningful life. That's on my bucket list. To have carried out at least some of my duties as an ancestor. That one is super important. Yeah, I want to leave behind. That's another reason why I have these videos, is I want to leave behind videos as an ancestor and to be able to share my wisdom that I've learned and earned throughout, these years in schooling and in life in general. I also, this one I have to check with my doctors, but I want to earn a diving certificate. It looks scary and a little bit intimidating, but I do want to look into it. I want to go snorkel with the fishes, but not with the big waves. But I really do. I think sometime this week I'm going to do some research of how much does it cost, where can it be done safely, and yeah, I definitely got to check with my doctors if it's okay with my lungs to go earn a diving certificate. There's a place in Indonesia called Gili Air Islands, and I really want to visit. There are apparently 3 of those islands. There's Gili T, Gili Air, and one more, but it's a place where you can go to the shore and snorkel and see turtles. Like, that's incredible. I am curious to see this place, so I know that's for sure happening this year. And yeah, Gili Tea. You see, it's like a place that I've never heard of, but I trust people's good judgment. And yeah, maybe people in Australia have heard of it, but all the way in the United States, I've never heard of Gili Tea. So I'm gonna go take myself there. There is another place, but this one is in my motherland. It is called Siquijor Islands, and you can also go and snorkel there, and I really, really want to visit Siquijor. Yeah, that is on my bucket list. Another one is to connect with students from Palestine. I don't know when this could happen, but it's a curiosity of mine to help out students who have been, have experienced so much, but still are like studying as much as they can. That kind of resilience, saying resilience is also problematic because it makes them heroes, and we have to recognize that they should have never gone through that. But I think that kind of determination towards your own education, right, as a culture, while you are being bombed and you don't know if you're going to live the next day, like, that is something else, something that I don't see often as a teacher. And I think I would love to just offer my gifts to their learning and be able to contribute to that. Because I could send, a little bit of money, which is like also important. But I think to give your heart and soul with teaching towards students who really want to learn is very, very sacred work. And then another one is to volunteer for a certain young cancer organization called First Descents. This program was one of the programs that helped change my life. I kayaked with, I believe there were 20 of us in Rogue River, Oregon, and it's run by volunteers and staff members who just want you to live your best life and for you to be connected again with your body. And I was so depressed when I was able to go. This was July 2 years ago, July 2024. And I was at a point where I was like, why am I surviving? What's the point of all this? I'm so mentally exhausted, right? Constantly thinking about cancer all the time, constantly questioning if I was going to be able to graduate. And so I'm just so thankful for that organization. And I saw how well it is run. And I was impressed. And I would love to donate my talents and time to be able to help that next generation. Well, not next generation, but just more cancer patients in general. So, yeah, that's currently what's on my cancer bucket list. I'm sure this list will get longer and longer, but that is what I came up with today. I would love to update you guys maybe quarterly of like how my bucket list is going. But yeah, I don't want y'all to wait for a cancer diagnosis to know that life is too short. In my travels, I've also seen so many people who are like just retired, who are like 60 or 70, and going to these places. Like, how are you going to hike a volcano? Like, it's cool if they can go hike a volcano, but wealth is also in our youth and what our body's currently capable of. I know with lung cancer, mobility is not always there. My ability to walk like I do now, or the ability to talk the way that I do now and move around the world independently, that is such a precious gift that I do not take for granted in a literal sense, because I know even my brain, right? Even the way that I think is a gift and such a sacred gift, because this thing is vicious and hopefully it's out of my body, but I think that it's just shaken me and continues to shake me to my core and makes me rethink of life in many different ways. Yeah, let me know what is on your bucket list. What are things that you want to do in life, and not just like accomplishing. Like, it's cool you got goals and accomplishing. Please tell me about those too if you have like academic goals. But what about, yeah, like adventures that you want to go on, and who do you want to go with? Do you want to go alone? Do you want to go with your loved ones? Yeah, let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you for listening. Bye.